How's everybody doing? Today I'm going to talk about how to install cruise control on your 2006 Ford Focus. This should work, I believe, on 2005 to 2007. There's not really a whole lot of completed videos on how to do this. I know a lot of videos out there, a lot of people out there talking about it, but never actually helped anybody get to the finish line. So I'm here to try and get everyone there that's interested in doing this, even though the cars are now like 16 years old. So I'm just going to tell you right now, there's not a whole lot you're going to need from the junkyard. You're going to need the servo, the bolts for the servo, the cable that comes off the servo. I have mine routed through here to look as close to factory as possible. This is my throttle body bracket that came with my car and my throttle body, and it plugged right into it. You also need this harness that I cut off from the junkyard. It goes on here and then it tied in there. I opened up the harness from my car to see if any of the wires were there. None of them are there. So the last thing you're gonna need is steering wheel controls. I went and picked up a whole new steering wheel in really good shape with the buttons and everything on it, as mine was like falling apart. But you can just get the buttons, I heard, but like my steering wheel specifically, there's no screw holes for the screws unless they just tap right into the material. So yeah, either way it works for you. My car specifically, and I know another guy with a 07 in one of the forums, all of his wiring was already here in the steering column. Clock spring, you can see all the plugs are connected. At the bottom, I have, set this up here. So at the bottom, you need to get the red switch. Mine had a blue switch for the clutch. I had a red switch from Ford and it broke off immediately when I installed it, so I had to get another one. They cover it under warranty, thankfully. You need to get this switch for your brake. It's your cruise control cutoff switch for the brake side, and it's just your like normal brake light switch. So yeah, it's very important you get the red switch and not the blue switch. Use the blue switch, and there's only 2 pins in there. The red switch has 4 pins in there. So what I did for getting all the wires to the servo, if you look up there, you'll see the main connector, and then you'll see the hole right there. So I unpinned those wires and ran them independently through that grommet that I put there. You can do it by repinning your C213 is the connector name. If you look right here, C213. That's the connector name. You can add the male connectors for it, but it was much easier just to unpin them without breaking anything, obviously. Running them through the firewall with a grommet, and I'm using this wrap here like that's on this factory harness. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You don't have to pull all the interior out. I just been doing other stuff. So don't feel like this is a really difficult job. It's really not that hard. So you can see here, I got the grommet. I got this wire loom that I'm gonna be using to get it up in there properly. So if you look in here, you'll see that white retaining clip, and you'll see these tabs. There's one right there, and there's one right there. You just pry those inwards towards the bolt, and then you slide that retaining clip out, and then every clip will have one of these little plastic guys holding it in. So obviously you can see when the white clip is out, you can have the ability to move those out of the way. And that's how I depin the female side. If you look, you'll see some missing pins more than was already missing because it's a base model. So yeah, I have all these coming out. I'm gonna do heat shrink connectors on these, get them nice and tight, watertight. Then I'm gonna wrap them in the wire loom, feed them through there, get it looking as close to factory as I can. And then I'm gonna run it along with this harness in parallel probably, and then tie it in with the plug right there. And once all that is done, once I get the new red switch, it should be good to go. If I have any issues, I will obviously update this video or make a comment and pin it. I'll reply to all the questions that I get in here. Hopefully I can help out anybody else that's trying to do this. I spent hours and days trying to figure out different ways to do this. I have PCM pinout diagrams, C213 connector diagrams, wiring diagrams. I've been reading through everything. You don't even have to pull that out. That's where your PCM is. You don't need to do anything if your car is pre-wired like mine is. If your car is not pre-wired, then I can probably help you, because I was kind of planning on doing it without being pre-wired, but I was. Just like a quick example for vehicle speed sensor. If you have an aftermarket head unit like that, you can just depend vehicle speed out of the radio for the dynamic speed controlled audio, whatever it's called, and you can just run that straight to your servo. Another important thing to note is this connector diagram. I'm gonna try and hold it here if you can get a screenshot of that. Ignore that, that's why it's crossed out. I got wrong information somewhere. Note the pin numbers and the circuit references, whatever those things are called. Because when you look at your electrical diagram here, you'll see like 8PG13 for white. And then here you'll see 8PG13 white, number 27. So that's how you can use it to reference and make sure you're unpinning the correct wires. If you cut a wiring harness out of a cruise control car within 05 to 07, it should be color coded exactly the same as your car to make it pretty much dummy proof. So if the wire doesn't match up, make sure you got the right wire and go from there. And we have cruise control. So I'm just gonna show you how I have everything routed. Got my wiring harness here. All the loom goes underneath there, runs parallel with the main engine harness. I have it grounded right there. And the cable goes in the throttle body there. I would show you under the wheel well, but I had to button that up so I could take it for a test drive. Got my steering wheel controls with buttons. And underneath the dash, I have the red switch for the clutch, not the blue switch that comes with the car. I have the green switch for the brake to cut off cruise control. I have my wire loom coming through the firewall to give it a good watertight seal. Got everything taped up, got everything zip tied together, kind of looking somewhat neat, but it's way under the floor, so you're not going to see it. And then pull this out of the way, and there's my power wire. I use the Add-A-Tap fuse holder and tapped into fuse 55, which I believe is for power windows that my car doesn't have. So that's everything all installed. Just took it on test drive, works. I do get the instrument cluster light indicating cruise control is on when I'm driving, so that's really nice. The kit that Ford used to sell actually didn't give you that light, so this is 100% how it would come from the factory, other than the fact that I ran my individual independent harness through the firewall instead of just tapping into the bulkhead connector. So yeah, I hope this really helps you. Helps you get it done, and if you like what you see, like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.